So what's perhaps one of the most extreme cases of failure and recovery that comes to mind?
Wow, there's quite a few of them. Probably, well, there's a number of traders who blew up or nearly blew up. Some who blew up multiple times in the market was a book. So I'm glad you picked that up because that is a common occurrence, and from which I draw two conclusions before I go to some examples. But let me give you, the listeners, the two conclusions that I get out of that. One is that early failure or even terrible failure is not necessarily predictive of future outcome. It doesn't mean if you fail you're going to succeed either, but it does mean that if you have enough confidence, and just because you failed doesn't mean you're doomed to fail. There's plenty of people that I've interviewed who were disastrous in the early years and turned out incredible. That's point one. And the second point is, well, they did ultimately succeed because they didn't give up. So that is an element of excelling is this spirit or the self-confidence that just doesn't give up. Now, as far as examples, I could give quite a number, but let's just take one. Michael Marcus, who I mentioned earlier, who was the trader whose job I took when he left to become a trader and who became a phenomenal trader. But his early experiences in the markets, he sort of lost, he had a very little money to start out, lost that, then cashed in his father's the life insurance his father, who died at an early age, had left. It wasn't much, it was like $3,000 or whatever, but he lost that. And then he started trading and some more money, and then he kind of hit it, and he built up this small few $1,000 stake into 30,000. And I go through a whole story in the book. I won't go through it here. But he then borrowed some more money from his mother, who was, of not of very good means, barely got by. But he got so caught that he actually then lost all the money he had made, plus a part of her money. So that was his experience, and very few people would have kept on going beyond that. He did, though. And the way that story ends is he eventually did learn how to trade. He did get extremely, extremely good. He was talented. And he ended up going to Commodities Corp. They gave him a $30,000 account as a starting portfolio. And he eventually built that $30,000 account into $80 million over a dozen years. And he did that while they were taking out 20% of his profits annually for expenses. So one of the probably most successful traders of all time. And hard to find anybody who had a more disastrous beginning.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. That's really, really impressive.